Okay.
Just like cuddle.
So, because I'm going last, I have been boiling in this rage for like about 2 hours now.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
It
It's
makes
okay.
it
It makes for a better presentation.
I like this blue one.
Thank you. So here's some context.
Oh.
Here's some context before we start. This was a very last-minute topic change
Oh.
because
Fun.
I was working on finals these past 2 weeks, and I realized that there is like a font of unbridled rage and burning hatred for what I'm about to talk about.
You're here.
So first, is it safe to assume that everyone knows what the Adobe Creative Cloud is? Like the whole creative suite of programs.
Can you give a recap? Just like,
Yes, so I am a graphic design major,
Yes.
so I've worked with a whole bunch of different Adobe products. So you have like
Oh, yes.
Illustrator, Photoshop, After Effects, Lightroom, InDesign, Cinema 4D, and Premiere. And these are all great, you know, like I've had lots of experience with all these different programs. You do a whole bunch of different things in graphic design. But there's one program in particular that I absolutely hate to use, which is why I decided to name this PowerPoint Fuck Adobe XD. Alternate title to be revealed later on in the presentation. So, Adobe XD is basically a web design tool that you can use to make wireframes and prototypes for stuff like that. It's basically how to just make quick prototypes for websites and applications. So, I'm just going to go through the 5 most frustrating reasons why I hate the UI, like the program, because if I wanted to talk about everything, we'd be here for hours. So first, I want to talk about the UI, but we can't do that without giving it some kind of comparison. So this is the default UI of Adobe Illustrator. It's all nice and dark gray, right? You know, like every time you open up a new program with Illustrator, it looks like this. If you look at the top, there's like an edit menu. So I'm like, okay, cool. I found there's like preferences where you can go and edit the UI, and then you can go in and just make it darker. So what I normally do when I start up a new program of Illustrator on a computer that I'm not used to using, I just change it back to that black, just because, you know, it's easy on the eyes. It's dark, you know, completely dark, right? Here's what the UI looks like. The default UI, mind you, for Adobe XD.
It's like having Twitter on.
It's a flashbang every time you open it up.
Blinding.
It is the worst program to use if you're doing late night work. And like, if we go back to the other 2 choices in UI colors, I have never met anyone else who uses the far right UI color schemes.
It's like having Discord on light mode.
Exactly, no one uses it. So like, why would they do this? All of the like the default Illustrator UI is pretty much the same for every other Adobe program. So Photoshop, InDesign, any other program, it's usually going to be that dark gray, and you have the option to make it darker. Photoshop, you can even make it like all black if you really wanted to. So like it just makes no sense. But look, there's an edit menu. Surely we can look. There's preferences. Surely we can make it darker, right? Right? No.
That's all.
Your only options
That's really
is to either change the language or toggle tips that, you know, someone like me that really has no need for. Like, so what am I gonna do? Just change it to French?
Yes.
Qu'est-ce que je fais maintenant? Number 4. Renaming layers. It's no secret that I love organizing. Like, I love to be really, really organized. And with programs that work with layers, you usually have the option to rename them, right? So, like, I love organizing so much that this is a comment that my instructor left me on one of my assignments.
That is an accomplishment, though.
And it is so rewarding to, like, be praised for something that, like, you always do, but, like, you never really get praised for anyway, because, you know, it's not really that big of a deal, but then, you know, totally made my quarter. Adobe XD, before I get into Adobe XD, what it does, basically, it's really nice when you can easily rename layers. So in any program like Photoshop, you can just double-click a layer, change the name, and then hit tab, and then just keep going. So, like, name, tab, name, tab, name, tab. And you can just quickly rename a whole bunch of layers. And Adobe XD kind of doesn't do that.
Ooh.
The way you have to rename multiple layers at once is you literally have to double-click on each layer name to type it. And when you start having huge amounts of layers, that takes up a lot of time to literally take your hands off the keyboard, drag your mouse over to the next layer, double-click it, and then it's just bad. And like so bad that it basically put me off, someone who loves to organize, away in the trash. I did not organize or rename my layers at all for my final project. It was awful. So unless you do it as you're making the layers, which is kind of tedious already, if you have to make changes later on, it's kind of like, I don't want to do it. Number 3, we're going to take a dip into the world of typography for a second. So, does anyone know what leading is in terms of typography? No?
No.
Excellent! Great! So, leading refers to the spacing between adjacent lines of text. And the reason why it's called leading is that back around the 1880s, when physical typesetting was quite a thing, quite the rage, you would have people sitting at desks in front of these little cubbies, kind of picking out every single metal die to create text. So these are all individual characters that they put on composing sticks so that it can be set to the printing press and then printed onto paper. And the reason why it's called leading is because there were these large metal slabs that would be put in between each lines of text so that it could stay consistent. Because if you're not consistent, then it just looks unprofessional and unorganized. So, I have an example to show you. So, this is all basing, I did everything in Google Slides, so I'm kind of just basing off of what I know with typography. This is 20-point type with about 24-point leading. It's all uniform, right? See, they all have an equidistant amount of space between each other line. In most programs that work with text, you have the option to customize the leading in between each lines. So this is all done within the same text box. I didn't need to make separate boxes for each one. So like this blue one refers to the 24 leading. This 32 is like this leading between the green and the blue. And then the more you go, the smaller you go, the smaller it gets. And Adobe XD doesn't do this for whatever reason. It's ironic. Like you can't even work with individual leading. It has to stay uniform. So if you change all of this to 32, then they would all like spread out. I don't know why. The only solution would be to just make individual text boxes for each and every single change you want to make. So if you want to make a hierarchy of text, it's just kind of a pain in the butt. And working with Google Slides, I discovered that like Google Slides is better leading control than Adobe XD.
Wow.
Like the fact that I can do this in just Google Slides and I can't do that in Adobe XD is just, I don't know, kind of, like, XD, what you doing, man?
Oh, you don't have to pay for that?
Yes, you have to have a yearly subscription to Adobe to be able to use their product. So it's kind of
That's a whole
Rip
other
off.
range.
more on that later.
That's such a ripoff.
Let's take your money.
Number 2, muscle memory. So I am someone who loves to work with keyboard shortcuts. If there is a keyboard shortcut that will help me improve my design workflow, I will learn it, commit it to memory. Unfortunately, they're like universal keyboard shortcuts like Command or Control S to save and like Command Z to undo and stuff like that. And it's really nice when you can edit those keybinds so that you can make things more easy for you. And in every single program, you can change the keybinds to whatever you want it to be. Like I have keybinds set to how I want it, and so that they're pretty much all the same across the board. Adobe XD, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. You can look at it, you can see what the keyboard shortcuts are, but there's no way to like edit them to make them better. I'm not saying they're bad. Like you can still kind of do work, but like you could just easily go into the menu. Oh wait, sorry, you can't. You just Next slide.
Passive aggressive.
So this is the better solution, the better XD. There is a program out there called Figma, and basically Figma is pretty much exactly the same as XD in that it is a web design tool made exactly like XD in that you can use it to make prototypes and wireframes for websites and applications. The thing is though, is that Figma is a browser-based thing, which means as long as you have an account with Figma, you can use it on any web browser that has an internet connection. So you can use it on your desktop, your laptop, even your phone if you really wanted to. And like, it's free. It's like way better than XD. So it's like, the better option would be to get Figma. And I did say there was an alternate title, and so here's the alternate title. Adobe XD, you can Figma nuts.
I was literally thinking of like a Ligma joke as we were doing that last slide.
Yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to have that there. All right, so, and
Work of art.
here we are. The single most frustrating reason about Adobe XD, the literal reason this PowerPoint even exists, this is what spawned this entire presentation. The text box is the worst thing ever. Like, okay, you all use text boxes, right? Like, if I asked any one of you, how would you like highlight a text in any document? How would you do it?
Click and drag.
Exactly. Right you are. Right you all are.
Oh.
This is an example from Illustrator. This is exactly how text selection should work in this nice little GIF I have. Like that.
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly how we all expect it to
I
work.
love how your
right?
little cursor nods.
Yeah, I know. It's perfect. It's universal. Everyone knows how to do it. We all know how to do this. It's exactly what designers are expecting. Why does Adobe XD do this? Just proving it's a text box. Just double clicking. Yep, it's a text box. Let me grab that text tool real quick. Drag it over. Why?
Wow.
So dumb. Like, this goes back to muscle memory. This is ingrained in my head as a designer to constantly use the text tool to drag and select. If you're working with a bunch of text, how is that a feature? Why is that there? Like, it is so frustrating. Like, I'm like, when you start getting into the drive of like working and you're just working, this like completely cuts off your workflow because now it's like, oh, now I gotta.
Oh my god.
Wait, the
Just get out of here. It's so bad. Like, honestly, XD is the worst program.
Take a moment and breathe.
Yes, we're taking a moment here. My main takeaways. It is extremely ironic for a multi-billion-dollar company such as Adobe to fail this hard at making a program that would be nice to use.
It's not unusual.
I don't exactly know who the target audience is for this app. Is it for beginners? Experienced web designers? Because, like, I mean, I guess I'd be kind of tooting my own horn if I said I'm an experienced web designer, which I'm kind of not. But, like, having used other Adobe products, I'd say it's not for experienced web designers. Or even visual designers. And if it's for beginners, I don't think so. This is just utter garbage. Like, if you're a beginner who's trying to use XD as a way to get into web design, it's an awful way to do it. Because as soon as you use anything else that isn't XD, then you'll be like, oh, why is it like that in XD? You know? And possibly my weakest reason, but, you know, you can call me out on the confirmation bias. I went searching. Like, every time I found something annoying, I just Googled it. And I found this article from 2017 from an official Adobe XD request, like feature request, about dragging and selecting existing text. The exact problem I had with the text box. And the fact that other designers are calling for this feature, but the fact that it's like 4 years old already, and they still haven't done anything about it, it's just, why? Why?
Well, the thing is, like, they have the code already in other applications. As a developer, this would not be difficult to change.
And like there are some solutions, like this one person said in the exact comment there, I was like, what you need to do is click once anywhere in the text box with the text tool, which sounds like a good solution, but like, if you're someone who's regularly using this to work on deadlines, then you're just like losing countless seconds, which then adds up to like hours, and then like just a whole bunch of time is wasted trying to like constantly rewire your brain back and forth, you know? So, as a nice way, I wanted to kind of cool down and chill out. And so, you're welcome to follow along with this message if you know the lyrics.
Oh.
Quote the Backstreet Boys.
Oh.
Hopefully it won't be too loud. Just gonna crank that down just a little bit.
Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say
Adobe XD. Thank you.
When you got
got quiet, that's when I got scared. I was like, oh my god.
Rage.
Oh no, it's just like
The
the
rage was
unbridled
strong with that
rage
one.
within
is shrinking. Reveal the curtain. That actually wasn't how it happened in my rehearsal. I did. I rehearsed it. Like I rehearsed it just so I get the beats right. Like I literally could recite this.
When you started speaking French.
Yeah.
No, that's so
Dang!
God.
French is perfect. So yeah, please use Figma next time instead of Adobe XD. Please and thanks.
You got it, man.
Yes.
XD, more like XD's nuts.
Oh, that's good. I totally forgot I wanted to say some other thing about Figma makes XD look like the laughingstock that it is. That's what I wanted to say there. I forgot to say that, but I was so caught up in the rage that I kind of missed it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Saw red.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.